afternoon, everyone. This is Tony from Her Homestead Skills. I hope everyone's doing well today. We've had a fair amount of rain here, and it just seems to be consistent, non-stop. And today there was a little bit of a lull, so I thought I'd go out to the garden. Unfortunately, everything was still too wet, so I walked up the grass path, because there is a grass path in between each of the plots, or alongside the plots anyway. And I didn't even go in because it was still too wet from the rain. I took a quick peek at the asparagus and it looks good. Could have picked it, but I thought I'd leave it for another day or two. Certainly can do that as well. But yeah, I left that for now, and I can see some weeds poking through that probably need to be cleaned up already. It doesn't take long for them to come through. But I didn't even open my gate and go in. It was just too damp, and I really just didn't want to get into a muddy situation. So took a quick peek, made sure everything was okay, and I'll go back in the morning and hopefully do some work then. And yes, some of my onions started to come up, which is good. I saw them peeking through, but they were quite close to the front fence, so they're quite visible. And the other things that I'd moved around seem to have done well. Obviously, moving plants around and then having rain for 3 or 4 days doesn't hurt. It helps the roots to find their way into the soil quite well. So then I came home, showered, because I don't shower before I go to the garden. There'd be no point. I'd have to shower a second time. But so I came home, showered, and then wondered what I should do, and decided that perhaps I'd go to either Walmart or Canadian Tire or both, and I decided on Canadian Tire for a few things. I know that all these stores are going to have some plants now. It's that time of year. They're starting to get a collection of plants for sale, and I wanted to see what they had, and I don't usually like to buy plants from these places at all, like Home Depot, Canadian Tire. I mean, when they do have some vegetable plants, maybe I'll buy those, but big baskets of flowering plants that are there just for show is really not my thing. I don't have a house where I want to put them on the doorstep so that they look lovely. So I don't have that situation going, so there's no point in me buying something like that. And that's where they're mostly used, is that people would, you know, buy them and put them in a flower pot by their front door or something of that nature. So yes, I did go to see what they had, but basically what I wanted to do at Canadian Tire was see what their canning stock was like. It's been a while since I did an update on canning supplies, and it is early. On the other hand, we've had situations where canning supplies were in short supply and hard to get a hold of, and this particular Canadian Tire always had skids and skids and skids and skids of jars. It didn't really matter what time of year it was, winter, spring, summer, fall. They had skid loads of canning jars. So I wanted to see what their supply was like right now, and so I decided to do a trip to that rather than Walmart. I'm quite aware that Walmart has a few boxes of jars and very limited supply of products. Like if you want one box of a particular type of jar, you might be able to find it, and maybe a second, perhaps a third, but that would be it. And in some cases, you won't find the one that you're looking for. So, and especially this time of year, I know that Walmart does keep a very limited supply, but they do keep some. Whereas this particular Canadian Tire, as I said, had skid loads. And I wanted to see if that supply had diminished and what they had on the floor today. Now, turns out when I got there, of course, as you enter, lovely plants, and I'm going to show you pictures of all the plants that I took, and then we'll get to the canning supplies. and seeds for $1.50, which is not a bad deal. I think I bought some of these the last time I was here. And a little bit of soil, but really not too much in the way of gardening supplies. So that's it for my day trip today. And by the way, Canadian Tire, with all those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of boxes of jars, those, 5, 6 skid loads that were there for quite a while, there's not one of those left. All they have now is a few boxes on the shelves, like Walmart. And I do understand that this is off season, it's still spring, and most of your canning is done in the fall. But I highly recommend that anyone who needs some supplies either start going to the thrift stores or start checking out your local suppliers to see what they have in stock that you need. And do it now before there's a rush in the fall, because you may not find what you want in the fall. I'm sure it's going to be a very busy canning season this year, just like last year. Anyway, this is Tony from Her Homestead Skills. I hope you found this video entertaining and informative, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.